That's this Pokemon Infinite Fusion, the fun game with over 251,000 different Pokemon combinations. And we're here today to see if we can beat a hardcore Nuzlocke using only the Lady of the Lock herself, Lapras. Alright, there's enough of that. That means if a Pokemon faints, it's considered dead. The level cap is the next leader's ace. No active items can be used in battle, and we play the games on set mode. If you like this video, the sound of my voice, and you haven't subscribed yet, you should definitely hit that subscribe button. The only way I'm going to be able to continue to create new content is with all of your help. So anything you could do would be like super awesome. And I know it's a couple weeks late, but Galaxy Fang has been asking me for like literally 3 years to do this run, so happy birthday, buddy. But without further ado, let's jump into it. For Scotland! Starting things off in Professor Oak's lab, it's going to be time for us to pick our starter Pokemon. But no matter what we choose, it as well as everything else that we capture throughout the game is going to be fused up with Lapras. Additionally, every Pokemon that we fight and capture in the game has been randomized. And the gym leader's typings have been shuffled around as well. For our first starter Pokemon, our first option is Banette. Next up is going to be Tangela, and finally Ferrothorn. And honestly, since I'm going to be dealing with a lot of ice Pokemon, I think that we need to go with a Steel's type starter so that way we can get some good resistances in. So we're going to choose Ferrothorn. So when fusing up our first pair of pals, we're going to get Ferrothorn and Lapras going to get ourselves Ferroraz. And even though Shell Armor is absolutely amazing, we're going to go with Iron Barbs to get a little bit of extra damage. But before we get the chance to leave Professor Oak's lab, it's going to be time for us to face off against Rando in our first ever rival battle. Who sends in Tenat and Forest comes in? It goes for a Screech and we go for a Sing, but it has Insomnia, but luckily it doesn't put us to sleep afterwards. Also, you silly goose, it's Ghost and I tried to tackle it, so after it sets up an Ingrain, I miss a rollout. Now going for a Constrict is going to do barely any damage to us, but thanks to our Iron Barbs, we do a bit to them. And the Ingrain is going to keep him healing up, but it's going to go for another Screech before eventually putting us to sleep. Now Constrict is doing a whopping 2 damage with our -4 to defense, and we're going to continue to knock him down well into the red until we eventually take it down, defeating Rando. And hopefully that has a custom sprite when it evolves all the way. I honestly didn't check. But let's see what friends we can meet before we face off against Brock and whatever the heck he's got planned for us. On Route 1, we're going to grab a Garchomp. On Route 22, a Honchkrow. On Route 2, a Slurmpuff. The Secret Garden of Volcarona. In Viridian Forest, a Scissor. And finally, on Route 3, a Braxian. So first things first, let's grab Garchomp and fuse it up, and let's see what we get. Oh my god, Lapchomp's adorable. He's just like, hey, how's it going? The mock transport Pokemon. Definitely going for Shell Armor on this one. And next up is gonna be Honchkrow and Lapras, and let's see what we get. Oh, his little hat. And I can smell the super luck on this guy. Now it's time for Slurmpuff, and when we fuse them up with Lapras, this adorable multi-layered cake is what we get. Next up, we're gonna go with Volcarona, and let's see what this moth's gonna be, and it is super cool. I love that the antennae are little helix swirls. And Shell Armor is a must on this monster. And for our final fusion friend for now, let's take Scizor and fuse them up with Lapras to get ourselves Lapsar. And I think we should go with Technician on this one. I know it's time for us to face off against Brock and his dragon dudes. He starts off with Fraxnaw and we send in Fergus, and I love Fraxnaw. Anyways, we're gonna go for a Dragon Rage. See ya! Which leads into Ampharos. And after one more Dragon Rage, we're gonna take this thing down super low as it goes for a Cotton Spore. So we might as well go for an Ice Shard, taking it down. And with that, we've defeated Brock. And what would you do? You could change your fate. So every now and again, I'm gonna do a bad Scottish accent, so if you're actually from, I'm super sorry. We run into Nurse Joy outside of Mount Moon tending to this wounded Geodude. But now enter Brock with his Fraxnaw, looking to impress his lady love with his adorable Pokemon and his dragon-like prowess. But I put on the accent and no one can understand a damn word I'm saying. But whatever it is that I'm saying, Nurse Joy can't get enough of it. But when Brock attempts to do my super accurate, really good Scottish accent, he simply can't pull it off, and Nurse Joy has to leave for the sheer embarrassment. And this guy's fish is disguised as a Venusaur. And Mount Moon, we get Greninja. Look, the randomizer is not messing around with me today. All these great Pokemon, holy smokes. At the back of Mount Moon, we run into Team Rocket. And I have no idea what they're doing, but it's got to be evil, because Team Rocket. Anywho, this little punk right here is going to slap 3 of the rocket stashes down on the machine, and Giovanni tells him to turn it on. But I come busting in all hooligan-like, and who the hell are you? My name is Uncommon Soap, and you shall not do these whatever the heck's to all these little guys. And after I beat up this dork, the Rocket Glassy goes in and hits the button. And all 3 of the Rocket starters, as well as Team Rocket themselves, blast off to goodness knows where. And I almost used the C word instead of saying Lassie, but then I remembered I don't want to get dinged on the algorithm. Then we're going to grab an Absol over on Route 4. We're running to Rando over by Nugget Bridge. And he heard legends of a legendary Pokemon that lives in the bay over in Cerulean City. And it'll be damned if we're gonna get it before he does. Anyways, Rando starts off with Rapagon, and we send in Willy. So let's go for a Water Pulse, doing about half as this thing goes for an Ember, and we can follow up with another Water Pulse, getting the confusion as he slaps himself in the face and takes himself down. Which leads into Feraloom, who is absolutely precious. I love how big the head is, but anyways, we do about 2/3 with a Gust, as the Scary Face lowers our speed, giving Rando the opportunity to heal up on the final. Rando then heals up on the following turn, and 2 more Gusts take it down. Next up comes Tanette. Oh, still hasn't evolved yet, and is gonna go for a Bind, and we can go for it. Ember scoring a massive hit, getting the burn off, which means it KOs itself. And Mosswine comes in as his final. Look at this little fella. He's gonna go for a charge on the first turn, and we can go for a Water Pulse, and it's more than enough to take down this sheepy. And with that, we've defeated Rando. On 24, we're gonna grab ourselves a Graveler. After fighting our way across Route 24 and 25, we run into Bill in his lab, with his best buddy Rhydon. But when they go to embrace, he forgets that he has a Fusion Splicer in his pocket, and the 2 of them fuse together. Not sure what to do because Bill's never been a Pokemon before, and he asks us if we can help him defuse the situation. And of course, Bill, I'd love to help. And after we head over to his computer and hit the button to unfuse the 2 of them, Bill steps out the other side. But what the hell happened to the Rhydon? And now it's time for us to take on Misty and her fairies! Milky comes in first, and we send in Goliath. I'm gonna go for a Bullet Punch on the first turn, and we can grab ourselves the Oko, which is gonna lead into Victriella, who I absolutely love. So many Corellia fusions are absolutely adorable. But anyways, after another Bullet Punch, we take it down, defeating Misty. On Route 5, we grab a Palkia, and I almost never use legendaries on these runs, but like, it's a Lapras run. We're just gonna go for it. Next up is gonna be a Seadra over on 6. Nicholas K has been infested by lanterns. On 11, we get a 2-for-1 with Gumshoe. And I don't necessarily need to change up our party, but I want to show off a few more sprites. So let's start off with Palkia with Lapras, and we can check out how happy Lapkia is. And obviously Shell Armor. Next up, let's fuse up with Absol and see what this becomes. And it's such a little long boy. I love the red eyes on Lapras. And this is a good contender for Super Luck. Next up, we're going to fuse things up with Venusaur, and we can check out Venoras. Holy moly, look at this alternative sprite. I love how chunky he is. And Shell Armor for sure. Now let's fuse up with Kamao, who I'm surprised has a custom sprite, and holy smokes, Lapmao is absolutely awesome. And finally, let's take a look at Lantern when fused up with Lapras. And this little fella is such a silly little fella. Also, Shell Armor goes without saying. On the SS-san, we run into Rando yet again, who's here sailing on the open seas because he's looking for the legendary Pokemon of the deep. But little does he know, I'm packing 6 of them. Anyways, Rando starts off with Sneeyu, and we send in McDuck. Holy moly, look at you, you're so cute! It's gonna go for some Fury Swipes on us, doing a bit of damage, and we go for a Pursuit, doing a bit to them. Another set of Fury Swipes is gonna come in, getting us down to about half, and we can then go for a Wing Attack. After that, Rando heals up with a Super Potion, and we can go for another Wing Attack before it goes for an Agility, and we take it out, leading into Breloom. And what's up with these Breloom fusions, Rando? They are all adorable. Anyways, Tenet comes in, and I am so happy that it has a custom sprite, and we can go for a Wing Attack, taking it down in one shot, which leads into Volpuff. And I am always a big fan of all these little fellas. If I was a Pokemon trainer, I don't think I would be a specific type specialist. I think I'd be a fella specialist. And you all know what I mean when I say that. And now it's time for us to take on Lieutenant Sir's Lightning American and his incredible icy Pokemon. Dalnix comes in first, and we send in Willy. It's gonna go for an Ice Shard, doing like nothing, and we go for an Ember, doing something. Then after it bites us, we're gonna flinch before tanking an Icy Wind, and another Ember takes it down, leading into Girarunt. And I love that this Cosmic Horror is hiding inside of this tiny little fella. It goes for an Ancient Power, unfortunately getting the Omni Boost, and I do like nothing, but we do get the burn off. So let's swap out and send in Goliath instead, as it goes for another Ancient Power. After that, it's going to go for a Shadow Sneak to get some chip damage in on us, and we can go for a Bullet Punch, bringing it down into the red, which is going to activate the Citrus Berry it's holding. After that, it goes for one more Shadow Sneak before another Bullet Punch takes it down, leading into Jinril. And I do appreciate that this thing is Rabid Peach, but it goes down in one. And with that, we've defeated Surge. On Route 9, we're going to get a 2-for-1 with a Scaranite. Next up on Route 10, we can get another 2-for-1 with Tanbank. In the power plant, we're going to grab ourselves a Ralts and a Starmie and Rock Tunnel. On 8, we get Kecleon. On 7, a Moltres. On 16, an Oratos, another 2-for-1, and finally a Golduck in the game corner. We backtrack to Lavender Town and run into Rando again in Pokemon Tower, where he's all but given up on trying to find the legendary Pokemon of the deep. But when he sees us, he feels something rising from within him, and the battle is about to begin. Swamp Tails comes in, and we send in Eleanor. Love the little ninja collar, but it goes for a bite, and I go for a Water Pulse. And realizing I'm in a rough spot here, I go for an Ice Beam. That way I know I'll do like no damage, and I get knocked down to just 44 HP, and go for another Ice Beam. It then sets up another bite, but I know I'll be able to take it down in two more, as two more Water Pulses take it out, leading into Blopix. So we're going to swap out and send in Merida, as it goes for a Sand Attack. And I guess I'll go for a rollout, but I miss, as this thing decides to go for a peck on the following turn, but Iron Barb to Iron Barb, and I miss again, and it's doing quite a bit of damage to itself. We then can connect with a rollout, as it goes for a Flame Charge, you silly Billy. Oh my god, please, please, please don't miss. And now it's faster than us, but luckily it goes for a peck, and we can take it down with one more rollout, which leads into Drowdoom. And after missing, we're going to go ahead and get hit by a Headbutt. And we'll send in MacDuck. After getting headbutted by this weird dog thing, we're gonna go for a Pursuit, taking it down in one, which leads into Tenet again. And with Wing Attack, we can take it down. And I gotta throw it out there, I really love the Tenet, and I love that all the little tentacles make hair with little hands on them. It's cute in a very creepy way. But anyways, we continue to argue about where the famous Pokemon of the day is. And then on the other side of the room, we hear some other people yelling about some other stuff. So we decide to go and check it out. And this is where we see Team Rocket, and they've abducted this strange old man. But what do they want with him? Before we can find out, they drag him up the stairs, locking the door behind him. And Rando says that he needs to leave because he really needs to go to the bathroom. But shouldn't we stay and try to help this old man, Rando? What are you doing? And then he vanishes. We catch back up with Rando over at the only bathroom that I'm aware of, the Cerulean City sewers, where he's beating up a couple of Rocket Grunts who run off into the sewers. And this is where Rando lets us know that Team Rocket is a super secret underground base here in Cerulean City. And there could only be one reason why. The legendary Pokemon of the deep doesn't live in a loch or a bay or a river or the sea. Lives in the sewers, subsisting off of our living. So Rando decides he's gonna head on in there and find it for himself. But not if I have anything to say about it, Rando. I'm heading in there first. After making our way to the back of Team Rocket's super secret underground base, we find that Giovanni has taken Erica, the local gym leader, hostage. They appear to be drinking wine. There's a candle lit. Giovanni, furious that I ruined his date with the prettiest girl in town, confronts us. We're the guy that stopped him in Mount Moon, but he won't let us get away this time. We won't ruin his dinner plans tonight. Daddy Gio's gonna go ahead and send in Donphan. Wait, what? And then we send in Fergus. We're gonna go for a times 4 super effective ice shard, doing a lot of damage, but a lot less than I thought we would, as it goes for 8 agility, but we can take it down with 1 more, leading into Duck. And what's up with this duck? We're gonna go ahead and Dragon Claw, doing like a third, as they go for a Screech. Dang, and going for another Dragon Claw, we get it down quite low, as a feint attack does like nothing to us. And with 1 more Dragon Claw, this Ducko goes down. Which leads into Psydoof, his final Pokemon. And apparently Giovanni's been randomized into a Duck Dude, and we go for a Dragon Claw, doing just over half, as we get slammed down below half, but 1 more hit on the Psydoof takes it down, and we defeat Daddy Gio. And after ruining his date night, he decides to pack up and leave, because he's done with this base anyways. And Erica lets us know we can meet up with her and her gym for a little Pokemon battling. I'll see you in a little way, lassie. Look at my glasses! And now it's time for us to face off against Erica and her flaming hot fire guy. Anyways, Genta comes in first, and we send in Willy. Or maybe it's Genta, I guess. But anyways, it's going to go for a Sucker Punch, doing a bit of damage to us, and we can fire off a Water Pulse, taking it down quite low. Erica then heals up with a Hyper Potion, and we can go for another Water Pulse, scoring a crit KO, leading into Crit-Hour. And now we're way too nervous to eat our berries, but don't worry, we take it down in a single Water Pulse, leading into What? Anyways, Arcanine's gonna go for a bite on us, and we can go for a Water Pulse, getting it down just below half as another bite comes in. And with 1 more Water Pulse, we take down this Mega Dog, and we've defeated Erica. We head back over to Pokemon Tower to save Mr. Fuji, but apparently Team Rocket's gotten everything they need from him. And this is where Mr. Fuji lays out Team Rocket's super secret evil plan. They want triple fusion, but I already knew that. Tell me something new, damn it! Apparently they've taken over the Silph Co building over in Saffron City, and they plan on trying to get as many Master Balls as they can. And I don't know exactly what a Master Ball is, but that probably sounds evil. Anyways, here's a flute. Heading back over to Route 16, I'm gonna go ahead and play my silly little flute for this big sleepy bear. But when it wakes up, it's not a bear. It's this. Over on Route 17, we're gonna grab a Golett. On 18, we're gonna get a Lamptini. And apparently Koga didn't get the memo that Lieutenant Surge was already an ice trainer, because he too has chosen ice. Anyways, Glavor comes in and we send in Willy. And with the power of Flamethrower, we can score a massive hit on this thing as they go for a bite. And the Flame Body activates, getting it down super low as Koga heals up with a Hyper Potion, and we can get it down low enough for the burn to take it down this time. Now, Deli King, who is absolutely amazing, but anyways, he goes down in 1 shot as well, because he is 1 part Delibird, leading into Snowshrew, who I love his little blankie, and he's going to go for a Protect because he's hiding under his blanket, so my Flamethrower misses. But anyways, we can go for 1 more, taking it out, leading into Pitzel, who is definitely a quote last special, and we're going to get it down quite low as it goes for a Twister on the following turn, and we can hit a Flamethrower, taking it down, and with that, we defeat Koga. And it's been a while since we saw some new fusion friends, because this run has been going so well, so let's take a look at Moltres with Lapras. And I've actually used this one before. On stream, it was my only surviving member of the Elite Four, so welcome back, Lapras. And if I didn't pick Shell Armor, I'd be silly. Next up is gonna be Kecleon, and when we fuse it up with the Lady of the Sea, I love this guy! And we're gonna go with color change because it's a Kecleon. Next up is gonna be with Starmie, and I can't wait to see the geometry. Check out Staris and Shell Armor. I had a tough time picking which one for Delphox, but at the end of the day, Water Psychic is better typing, so check out Lapfox. And we're gonna go for Blaze just to up our fire damage a little bit. Now let's take our Raichu and fuse that up with Lapras to get ourselves this not Azumarill. And let's keep the static. And I know I've used this one before like a long time ago, but let's check out when we fuse with Dragonite and check out Dragaros. Oh my gosh, it's Dory! Now let's go ahead and check out when we fuse up with Aurorus, and the result is absolutely majestic. Also, its name is still Aurorus. And I don't know how useful it is, but I like the idea of refrigerate. Now let's go with Latios and see what happens when we fuse the two of these fellas up, and it is an adorable little ice-powered jet plane. Oh my god, look at this! You got Eevee, Riolu, and Grovyle all riding on its back? And Levitate is definitely in order here. Now let's take Golem and fuse that up with Lapras as well, and I love that it's just screaming. And for saving everybody in Silph Co, this guy gives us a victory bell, because we already have all the Laprases. And in the next room, we run into Rando again, who's decided to join the likes of Team Rocket. Because with the funding that they're able to provide for him, he'll be able to go on deep sea expeditions and finally hunt down the monster of the depths. Rando starts off with Dusquaza, and I'm pretty sure he already found the Scourge of the Air, and I send in Dory. It's gonna go for a Hex, and we can go for an Ice Beam, scoring a pretty massive hit. After that, it's gonna cut our attack with a Will-O-Wisp, and we can go for one more Ice Beam, taking Dusquaza down. Which of course leads into Tanet, who's gonna go for a Slam, scoring a pretty big hit, and we're gonna heal up with our Berry and then go for a Rain Dance. It goes for another Slam, getting me down to 37, and we're gonna heal up with a Roost. And after getting Giga Drained for a lot more than I thought we would, I'm gonna go for a Hurricane, taking Tanet down super low. Well, that's enough messing around. Let's go ahead and swap out, sending in Goliath as it goes for another Giga Drain. And with an Ice Shard, we can take Tanet down, which is going to lead into Rayfish. And are you sure you need your own Lapras, bro? You got two Rayquazas! Anyway, he goes for an Extreme Speed, and an Ice Shard does a bit of damage as we get it down to about a third, as a Crunch is going to knock us down low enough to get our Berry. We can take it down with one more Ice Shard, leading into Aurafall. And there's nothing Aurafall about you, you're so cute! And it goes for an Avalanche. Luckily, we also get the burn off with our Flame Body, and we can then go for a Turf on the following turn, getting it down super low, as it goes for an Ancient Power, which is unfortunate, but what is fortunate is burn damage. Leading into Ditmo-O. Which reminds me I need to do my Ditto run, but we can go ahead and go for a Surf, doing quite a bit of damage, and all it does is get hard before we take it down. And with that, we've now defeated Rando again. And after the battle, he decides that maybe Team Rocket wasn't such a good idea, and together, we should bust into the President's office. And together, Rando and I will be able to take him on and stop him from messing with the Silph President. But anyways, we do just that, busting in, and the Rocket grunts like, "Hey, what's this guy doing here?" And then Giovanni's like, "Not you again!" And then we fight. Anyways, we're gonna send in Malade and Blanks, and we send in Adku and Dory. So the first thing that's gonna happen is Blanks is gonna go for a Focus Energy, Adku goes for a Toxic, and then Malade is gonna go for a Taunt, but luckily not on me, because I'm gonna go for a Rain Dance. Blanks is then gonna go for a Bulk Up, and Adu is gonna go for a Moonblast on Merlane, taking it down in one shot. With that, we're gonna go for a 100% super accurate Mega Awesome Hurricane, doing like a third, as Noski comes in. Blanks then goes for an Empowered Quick Attack, getting a crit, as Anku goes for a Moonblast, doing like nothing to Blanks. Don't know why he did that. Luckily, a Stone Edge misses, and then we can go for another Hurricane, taking it down quite low and getting the confusion off. And I might as well just stay in for the heck of it, as Daddy Geo heals up, a Moonblast does not a lot of damage, and a Stone Edge does a lot of damage. After that, another Hurricane gets it down to about half. And we're going to swap out, and instead we're going to send in Dr. Jones, as the Blanks goes ahead and smacks it in the face, and Adku goes for a Toxic on these weird pile of keys, and the Zap Cannon misses, fortunately. And after Blanks punches itself in the face, a Moonblast can take it down super low, and Odd Power takes down Adku, and we go for a Brine, taking down Blanks. After that, Klinkro and Tanet come in. Blinkro goes for a discharge, which does a bit of damage to everybody on the field, as Nozki goes for a lock-on because he wants to make sure he gets his eyes on this adorable Tenet. But don't worry, a Brine is going to take this bad boy down. Tenet then goes for a Giga Drain because once again, Brando really doesn't want to do any damage to Giovanni or his Pokemon. But guess who does want to do damage? Me! Thunderbolt takes it down quite low, and an Ancient Power takes it down. And with that, we've defeated Daddy Geo. But Giovanni's already gotten exactly what he wants. 3 Master Balls. 3 Master Balls for 3 masterful birds. And with those birds, you'll see what happens next, Soapy boy. And for saving everybody in Silph Co, we get a duplicate. And now it's time for us to face off against Sabrina and her ghastly ghouls. Kazam comes in and we send in Goliath. It's going to outspeed us with an Earth Power, doing almost half. But we can go for a ×4 super effective Night Slash, and it's not enough. She then heals up with a Max Potion, and we can go for an Ice Shard, doing like nothing. So let's swap out and send in Fergus, as it goes for an Aura Sphere this time. Kazam goes for another Aura Sphere, doing about a third to us, and we can go for a Dragon Claw, getting it to half, as it changes things up, going for another Earth Power. This is going to activate our Berry, and we can go for another Dragon Claw, bringing it down quite low before Sabrina uses another potion. Then we're going to get Dragon Clawed, and we're going to return it in kind, as it sets up a Destiny Bond, and we're going to get it quite low. And then I'm going to avoid KOing it by going for another Shard, and it goes for another Earth Power, getting me down to 25. But with one more Dragon Claw, it goes down, leading into Tanlurk. So let's recall Fergus and send in Willy instead, as it goes for a Slam, activating our Flame Body. So we then go for a Flamethrower, taking it down, which leads into Genchamp. We're going to go for another Flamethrower, doing just about half, as a Payback does quite a bit to us, activating our Berry. After that, we're going to go for a Surf, and we're going to get it down quite low, as a Shadow Ball is going to come in, getting us down just below half. But with one more Surf, Genchamp goes down, which leads into Gascol. And I love this thing, and I have to hope I can grab the Oko, and a Surf luckily does it. And with that, we've defeated Sabrina. Skipping over to Pokemon Mansion, we're going to grab a Metapod. And the Static Absol on Cinnabar Island is a Genesect! And now it's time for us to face off against Blaine and his flaming hot molten rock Pokemon. Regicole comes in first, and we send in McGonagall. And I do all of this commentary in real time, so I had no idea it was going to be a fire and rock Pokemon, but anyways, Regicole goes down immediately because it's a fire and rock Pokemon. Doodalax comes in after that, and I absolutely love this dude, and we go for a Surf, taking it down quite low, as Stone's Edge does a lot to us. Blaine is then going to heal up, and we can go for another Surf, and then one more for the KO on Doodalax, which leads into Sudamite! And apparently this guy loves the power of rock trees? Anyways, this thing's still holding a berry, so it doesn't go down, and a Stone Edge gets me down pretty low, activating my own berry, but we can take it out on the following turn, leading into Rarugia, which is an absolutely amazing sprite, and it's gonna go for a Light Screen just to ruin my day, and a Surf does nothing because it's a Lugia. It's then gonna fire off a Tri-Attack on us, and I don't know if McGonagall can tank it, but fortunately it can, and another Surf's gonna come in, and they're not even at half yet. So assuming another Tri-Attack, we're gonna swap out and send in our Steely Heart Steel Boy, as this thing sets up the Hail, but fortunately I'm also Ice, and you're not. Oh wait, I'm not Ice, my bad. Anyways, it's gonna go for another Tri-Attack, which I think is when it's going for Secret Power. I wasn't paying attention, but we go for an Iron Head, bringing it down wicked low, and that means that the buffeted Ice will take it down. We've defeated Blaine. Thanks for the assist, buddy. On the offshore road, we're gonna grab ourselves a Blastoise. And in Mount Ember, we're gonna grab Gardevoir. We catch up to Team Rocket over in Mount Moon, where apparently Giovanni's plan has come full circle. He's already caught himself out of Articuno and Zapdos, and all that remains is Moltres. He commands this random rocket grunt to throw the Master Ball at this majestic creature. And with all 3 Cansonian legendary birds in Giovanni's possession, the time has finally come to fuse the legendary bird. But not so fast, Giovanni. You got something else to deal with before your plans of world domination can come to fruition. And his name, Stop, and his group of Loch Ness Nesses are ready to rumble against you and your super bird. Anyways, Giovanni's gonna go ahead and send in Zapmokuno, and I'm gonna send in Amy Pond, who's been specifically engineered for one purpose: Perish Song. I've never actually done this strategy before, so I want to see how well it works, as Zapmokuno is going to go for an Ice Beam doing like nothing, and then a Flamethrower does like nothing, and then a Thunderbolt does like something. I forgot to give this guy a freaking berry. I messed up bad, but let's go ahead and use a light screen just so I can set up the rest of my team. But unfortunately, Amy is probably going to go down. I don't see a world where she doesn't, and with that, unfortunately, Miss Karen Gillian is no mas. So let's send in Dory. And I'm pretty sure if I hadn't messed that up, she wouldn't have gone down, but too late now. We're gonna go for an Ice Beam as this thing sets up a Reflect, and then Moltres and Zapdos are gonna go ahead and try hitting Dory, but it's gonna be for some minimal damage. And yeah, I guess they really can't do anything to us, huh? Anyways, I'm gonna go for an Ice Beam on Moltres this time, as they're gonna go ahead and do their thing to Dory, which is gonna knock me down low enough to activate my berry, and a Drill Peck gets me down pretty low, but we'll smell you later, buttholes. That's funny. I've never done that strat before, and I've played this game for almost 3 years. But we defeat Giovanni, ruining Team Rocket's hopes and dreams, and he decides to run back home to his mummy. And by his mummies, I mean he's gonna go back to Viridian City to be the gym leader, because that should have been his job in the first place. Dream doesn't pay, Daddy Gio, except when it does. So let's see what Moltres has been randomized into. Another Palkia. And now it's time for us to face off against Giovanni and his fighty fight boys. Anyways, his first fighty fight boy is going to be Regichoke. Excuse you, Regichoke. And we're going to send him McGonagall. We're going to go for a Psyshock right away, scoring a pretty big hit as this thing goes for a Slash, doing basically nothing. And one more Psyshock takes Regichoke down, or Regichoke down, rather. Next up is going to be Lycanloom, who's going to go for a Crunch, doing a lot of damage to us, but this will activate our berry, healing us up, dropping our defense, and we can go for a Surf, taking it down low. We're then going to swap out and send in Willy as this thing heals up. We're then going to swap out into Willy as Giovanni heals up. After missing a Stone Edge, we can go for a Surf, taking it down quite low, which means Danny Geo will heal up again, and we can take it down super low as he continues healing up until inevitably he's going to run out, but not before hitting us with a Stone Edge and OHKOing my best Pokemon. No! Alright, here's Fergus. Gotta be freaking kidding me. But here is an Ice Shard, and we can take down Lycanloom, leading into Piperno. We're going to then go for a Dragon Claw on this thing, doing almost half, as fortunately it misses the Hydro Pump, and we can go for another Dragon Claw. This time it's going to connect with the Hydro Pump, doing a bit of damage to us, and one more will take it down, and I'm so mad I lost my Volcarona. Crap Champ's up next, and why doesn't you have a custom Sprite? Dragon Claw is going to do a bit of damage, as this thing just has to go for a superpower, scoring a massive hit on us. Holy smokes! So let's swap out again and send in Dr. Jones, as this thing is going to go for another superpower, pardon us. We're then going to go for a Brine, taking it down, no problem. His final Pokemon, Primevire, comes in. And I don't have a safe switch here, so we're going to stay in, where I have to tank a Stomping Tantrum, and unfortunately, down goes Jones. So now enter Dory, my only healthy Pokemon. This thing is going to go for a close combat on Dory, taking her down immediately, and this is not looking good. So let's send McGonagall back in. It outspeeds us with an Outrage, and I have 22 HP. But fortunately, Psyshock takes it down, and we lost a bunch of Pokemon to Giovanni, but at least we've acquired our 8th badge. On 26, we're going to grab a Flappy. And on Victory Road, Entei's been randomized into Mew. While we're trying to figure out what our team's going to be here, let's fuse up some more friends. So Tangrowth up first with Lapras, and we're going to get Lapgrowth. And this is definitely a Shell Armor fella. Next up, let's go with Carbing, so let's fuse them up with Lapras, and check out this tiny little Lipink. And Shell Armor once again. Next, let's take a look at Chandelure and fuse them up with Lapras as well, and I love this creepy land. But the alternative sprite is even better. Holy moly, these are both great. And let's go with Flash Fire to get rid of that fire weakness. Next up, let's take Gardevoir and Lapras, and this is a fusion that I've used a while back, but they have added so many new sprites, and check out this Lapras. And Shell Armor, once again, is a must. Now let's check out Kingdra, so let's fuse them up with Lapras and see what we get, and it's not here. There definitely is a sprite for this, it's on the calculator, and there we go. Don't know why it wasn't there before. Okay, there's no reason why this one has to go so hard, but check out Lapras with Golurk. Now let's fuse up Cradily so we can see what they look like with a Lapras, and it's just a silly Lapras. Now let's take Genesect and fuse them up with Lapras as well, and we're gonna get, you guessed it, a Genesect. But I do love the little nods to Lapras in the design here. And let's get some download going. I'm pretty sure this is the last one that I have that has a custom sprite, so let's just take care of that with Victory Bell, and gosh! I've heard of a screaming asshole, but this is ridiculous. Actually, I completely forgot about Mew, so this is the last one we're going to fuse up. So here's Mew with Lapras for our final fusion friend, and check out Lapew. Anywho, now that we've made it to the Indigo Plateau, let's take one quick look at our team before we face off against the Elite Four. First up, we have Miklo the Lapmo with Charging Scales, Sky Uppercut, Dragon Claw, and Dragon Dance. Goliath the Lapzor with X-Scissor, Swords Dance, Bullet Punch, and Night Slash. Fergus the Lapchomp with Ice Shard, Dragon Claw, Earthquake, and Stone Edge. Wallace the Lapwar with Draining Kiss, Calm Mind, Psychic, and Surf. Davy Jones the Lapu with Toxic, Amnesia, Psychic, and Barrier. And finally Scouty the Lapkia with Power Gem, Earth Power, Aura Sphere, and Spatial Rend. In first, it's gonna be up to us to take care of Lorelei and her dragon dudes. Megavern comes in first, and we send in McLeod. And this thing's gonna go for a Sweet Scent, and we can go for a Dragon Dance. And I'm hoping that one's enough as we go for a Dragon Claw, taking it down low, but not low enough. Knowing Lori's gonna heal up, I go for another Dragon Dance, so now we can take it down, leading into Slerion, who is awesome! Anyways, let's go for a Dragon Claw, taking it down quite low, and honestly, this thing looks kind of like a worm from Monster Rancher, but anyways, we get hit with a Muddy Water, and she heals up again, and we can go for another 2 Dragon Claws, which is gonna lead into Dragorok, who is also awesome, and we can go for a Dragon Claw, taking it down. Next up is Slugtrigon, who I absolutely adore, and I also love that it goes down in one shot. Which finally, Pidnight. The awesome power of Pidnight cannot possibly be contained, and the chunk of this lad allows it to tank one hit before one more takes it down. And night night, Pidnight, and good night, Lorelei. And now it's time for us to tackle Bruno and the ghosts of his shady past. Mimiroth comes in first, and we can send in Wallace. I'm going to go for a Calm Mind, but it outspeeds me, going for a Hone Claws, and I'm going to go for a second one as it goes for a Pain Split, because what a jerk you are, kind sir. Now it's going to Shadow Claws, and I go for a big ol' smooch, but its disguise is there. And another Shadow Claw brings me down low, and we can heal up. But, like, I'd go down in another one, so goodbye William Wallace, and hello McLeod. This thing goes for another Shadow Claw, doing some damage to us. Bruno heals up, so I'm going to go for a Dragon Dance because I might as well, and then I can go for a Dragon Claw, doing about half. Bruno's then going to heal up, and I can go for 2 more Dragon Claws, and it's not enough. Uh-oh. Oh, 34 HP, holy smokes. Anyways, we heal up with our berry and go for 1 more Dragon Claw, taking it down. Which leads into Deliros. And I don't know what this thing is packing, but we're going to swap out and send in Scotty just in case, as it decides to go for a Heavy Slam. I'm going to fire back with a Power Gem, doing just over half, as another Heavy Slam does like nothing to us, and we can then take it out, which leads into Aegitom. So we'll go for an Earth Power, doing about half, as it goes for an Aerial Ace, and then with 1 more Earth Power, down Aegitom goes. Next up comes Yallery. And I am loving so many of these sprites here, but anyways, Spatial Rend comes in and we can take down this little cannon, which leads into Pededge.
Why are you such a little cutie pie?
Anyways, it goes down, and that is the second Elite Four member we've taken care of. And now it's time for us to take on Agatha and her very much alive normal-type Pokemon. The first one to come out is going to be Clefsparse, and we send in Davy Jones. I'm going to go for a Toxic because I might as well, as this thing goes for a Meteor Mash on us, which is going to raise its attack, but I'm going to go for a Barrier as she uses her first full restore. Now going for another Toxic, another Meteor Mash comes in, but it does like nothing, and I'm going to go for an Amnesia because I might as well. She then uses another full restore, and I'm going to go for 2 Psychics, bringing this thing down low as a Meteor Mash continues to do nothing, and one more takes it down, leading into Chandelrose. And you're supposed to have all your Pokemon be alive, you silly goose. But anyways, we're going to knock it down pretty low, activating Anger Point, and then it's going to go for a Flame Burst, wasting all that attack boost, and we can go for a Psychic, taking down Chandelrose. Which means Slurth. And with the power of Slurth going for a Play Rough, we'll see how much damage it does, and the answer is not a lot, and we can go for another Psychic, doing about half. It's then going to go for an Energy Ball, but luckily we still have our Light Screen up, and also it's a Meowth, but we're going to heal up a bit as our special defense falls. And with another Psychic, we take Slurth down low. We're then going to swap out into Goliath in case this thing goes for another Moonblast, as it goes for a Wish. And I'll go for a Bullet Punch, finishing it off before it can heal up. Next up comes Dickquill. And that sounds like it should be a swear of some kind, but let's swap out and send in Scotty as it misses an Inferno. We can then throw a rock at it and KO it at 1, leading into Gyarados.
Well, look at you, you little friend.
And we're going to go for a Spatial Rend, and we take it down right away, defeating Agatha. And now it's time for us to take on Lance, and he really likes rocks. Do you want to see my rock collection? Here's Geodude. Please don't earthquake me, daddy. Anyways, I take him down as he goes for a Double H, finishing himself off, and then we have Gravikate, who I love that he's got the extra arms just chilling up by his ears, and we can take him down with a single Earthquake as well. Next up is going to be Tyrannorogue, and holy crap baskets. And I mean Tyranno-Ogre. Anyways, Earthquake is going to come in on us, getting us down to about half, but not quite there yet. Or maybe I'm not holding a berry, I don't remember. But we're going to take it down pretty low as Lance heals up. Now going for an Ice Shard, we do like nothing. No, I have a berry. I don't know why I didn't heal. Oh, we're going to swap out Fergus and send in Scotty, just in case, as Lance heals up again for some reason. It then goes for another Earthquake, doing some decent damage to us, and an Aura Sphere does just under half, as a Thrash gets us down below half. Now going for another Aura Sphere, we take it down quite low, and another Thrash is going to get us down below half, but one more Aura Sphere takes down the Ogre, leading into Lycanfrig. And it doesn't look like it wants to be here, but it goes for a Scary Face, lowering our crappy speed, and I can go for an Earth Power, taking it down low. And speaking of load, let's send in McLeod, as it goes for a Crunch, which we resist. It misses the Stone Edge, and I'm going to go for a Sky Uppercut just for the heck of it, grabbing the KO, leading into Omacell. And I love it when a plan comes together. This weird thing throws some rocks at us, but that's not enough, you illithid scum! Sky Uppercut! And down it goes, and we're moving on to Rando. And no more stories, no more nothing. Gonna be time to take down Rando. And Rando, what would you do if you could change your fate? I've been wanting to say that brave line this entire run. Anyways, Dragocate comes in and we send in Wallace. And this is a perfect opportunity to set up a couple of combines to see if William Wallace can go ahead and smooch all of Rando's Pokemon. And while getting up to +2, he's going to continue doing Aqua Tails, but you silly goose, that's not going to do anything. And now at +3, I'm hoping it's enough, and I'm going to go ahead and smooch this Dragon Rat, taking it down. Next out comes Tanette. And don't worry, I'm ready to smooch some more, but no, a Power Whip! I probably should have saw that coming, but anyways, here's Goliath. It goes for a block, and I'm going to go for a Swords Dance, but don't worry, I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me. And after ringing me out, I'm going to go for an X-Scissor, doing a lot less than I thought I would. Bullet Punch, I guess? This is going to get it down pretty low, as a Power Whip comes down, getting me down to just 59. And we're gonna go for another bullet punch, taking Tenet down, which leads into Himong. Oh, no! Anyways, let's swap out and send in Claude. And this guy's gonna start going for a dynamic punch. You gotta be kidding me. I mean, a focus punch. Okay, bro, going for another one. And we're gonna go for a sky uppercut, getting it down wicked low. Rando then heals up, and I'm going to keep on sky uppercutting as Rando runs through all of his potions, and we go for another one, and he's going to keep on doing it, and at some point I should have Dragon Danced, but whatever, this thing's gone now. Slow Love comes in! And this is everything I've ever wanted in a Pokemon, but anyways, we send in Davy Jones as this thing goes for a Psychic. It sets up a Rain Dance, which is fine, I guess, and I am going to go ahead and poison it. Now let's start going for Amnesias to make sure that none of his Pokemon can do anything to me for the rest of the game. As he goes for his own Amnesias, you gotta be kidding me, bro. But you know what? You can't heal up, and you are poisoned. So now we're gonna get hit a little bit more as I get to +6. It then goes for a Slack Off, but that's fine. I'm gonna set up a barrier anyways. Then after getting hit by another Psychic, I'm going to go for another barrier, so now I'm at +4 physical defense and +6 special defense. As it goes for another Slack Off, now I'm at +6 for everything. So it goes for another Slack Off, and I might as well go for a Psychic here to do a little bit of chip damage as it gets knocked down quite low, and I can KO it on the following turn. Wigglytoys comes in after that, and I can Toxic it as well as it decides to slap me, and honestly, for being at +6 defense, the double slap does a lot more than I thought it would. And it's going to go ahead and slap me around some more. But let's go for another Psychic, getting it down into the red, and now it's at barely anything where we take it out, leading into Slurrape. And this thing doesn't even have the decency to have a custom sprite, unless that is the custom sprite, in which case, what's up with that hairdo? But anyways, we're going to go for a Psychic, bringing it down quite low after we Toxic it, and it is set up a Wish, and then goes for a Play Rough, but it's not going to matter, because one more Psychic takes Slurrape down. We defeat Rando. And that, everybody, is how I beat a hardcore randomized Nuzlocke of Pokemon Infinite Fusion, using only Lapras fusions. Happy birthday, Galaxy Fang! If you liked the video, the sound of my voice, and you made it this far and you're not subscribed, then what the heck are you doing? Go ahead and hit that button. You know you want to. I do a new Nuzlocke run just about every week, and more often than not, it is Infinite Fusion. But if there are any other vanilla, ROM hack, or fan game challenges you'd like to see, let me know in the comments down below. Additionally, someone from our community has started making his own ROM hack using the Viridian Pokemon that I created last year. So if you like D&D and Pokemon, you should go check out that video, as well as our Discord where you can get a link for the latest beta. So you definitely want to check all that out. But anyways, I will catch you all in the next Nuzlocke video. See you later.